You just spoiled it for me. But yeah, that's basically how you play defense. Like on most maps, you're kind of like on defense, you're kind of just, making sure you have info and like, you might take some A lobby space or, you might have two people on site. But like for the most part, you're playing like a defender would. You're defending space. But on Fracture, it's completely different. Like if you're not taking space, if you're just sitting on site like this, you're sit and all you hold is like this space and like spawn. If you're holding this, you're just gonna get rolled over. The spoiler is true. Yes, you need to play aggro on defense, but how do we actually do that is the question.
There's way too many ways that the attacker can like attack a site. Like there's so many pinches that you can make.
Yes, that's true. So like the attackers, they have access to this much of the map, right? So they can, if they wanted to, they could do a split through B like this, or a split through A like this. And if you're stuck on site right here, or right here, it's hard for you to look at two places at once, right? And most maps, the way it's set up, like you have one choke to worry about, and then like it's a lot of work for them to get another choke, right? And it's like they don't get a ton of value out of getting this all the time, right? Or like the same on like A on Ascent. Like you're basically defending this choke, and then like this choke takes a lot of work for the attackers. But for Fracture, it takes no work to like get that much space, right? So this map can be very attacker sided, and it causes the map to be played differently. Okay, why
Yeah, so
else is this map special?
I want to answer this because this map, I didn't know you were going to do this map, but this map drives me nuts in comp because I feel like this map is all about the retakes because it's harder to defend than it is to attack. So when you're on defense, you have to play it kind of opposite that you'd play other maps. And it's hard to like tell, and I'm on a lower rank than most people, but it's hard to tell people in silver, like, let them take the point and then we will go back in and retake because you have the advantage on retake, or at least I feel like you do. And you kind of, it's, it's okay to give up space because you have so many angles that you can retake the space versus like other maps where you don't want to give up the space, or at least that's been my experience.
That's you just spoiled it for me. But yeah, that's basically how you play defense. Like on most maps, you're kind of like on defense, you're kind of just, making sure you have info and like, you might take some A lobby space or, you might have two people on site. But like for the most part, you're playing like a defender would. You're defending space. But on Fracture, it's completely different. Like if you're not taking space, if you're just sitting on site like this, and all you hold is like this space and like spawn. If you're holding this, you're just gonna get rolled over. You're not gonna know where they're coming from. You're gonna get util bombed. There's not a lot of spaces for you to hide. Like on A, this is all wall bangable, right? So it's just it gets very dicey when you don't take space. So let's kind of watch one round of a pro match to see kind of how it's played. The spoiler is true. Yes, you need to play aggro on defense, but how do we actually do that is the question.
What do Navi do here? Actually, that's the thing about this Fnatic roster right now, man, is that you think, all right, how do Navi respond? Fnatic don't even give him a chance to consider the approach. There's so
Okay, so we saw there, we went aggro arcade, and we tried to catch the attackers off guard up here, and that's how it's done. Basically, when you play this map, just as a rule of thumb, you need to pick something to aggro, right? If you're not picking somewhere to aggro, you're kind of playing to lose, honestly. You're kind of letting the enemy team dictate the pace and dictate like all the space they're taking, whereas you need to be the one taking space. So most people, what they do is they take A main or they contest A main space because that's the easiest one to defend, right? Because when you look at the map, there's a lot of lanes, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lanes, and there's only 5 defenders. So like you have to give up one of these lanes and go aggro to turn 2 into 1, right? So you have to go aggro arcade to turn these 2 lanes into 1 lane, or you have to go aggro A main to turn these 2 lanes into only one that we're defending, right? So I want you guys, especially the IGLs, to be really thinking about like what do we do every round, or what can we do every round to either catch the attackers off guard or to turn the amount of space that we need to hold into less space so that we can like move our resources in the right positions. Okay. So typically you're going to need a Sentinel for sure, right? We'll start talking about comp here. But why are Sentinels so good on this map?
Because they
They
can
can
just hold space for you, so you don't need to hold them.
Yeah, they can hold it for free, right? A turret here, or you could put like an alarm bot up and drop. A lot of times teams put a tripwire and alarm bot on drop. Maybe you put something in arcade early in the round. You have a turret that's looking arcade, like on top of this box is very common, right? And Sentinels, they can watch that space to get info on it, and then two, they usually have delay for rushes, because a lot of fracture attack is rushing, right? Because it's really hard to default on this map, and it's a lot easier to just rush usually, right? So that's why Sentinels are really good. All right, who do we think is the best duelist on this map?
Neon.
Neon is good.
Neon arrays. Neon arrays.
Yeah, Neon and Raze are probably the best. Neon is going to be a higher skill ceiling agent to get value out of. It's kind of like if you run Yoru, like Yoru, some pros run Yoru, right? But they need a lot of practice on that agent, or else you're not going to get value out of it. Raze is just a lot easier to get value than Neon is, because you need like a dedicated Neon player, and you need to have your breach needs to have a lot of chemistry with your Neon, or else they're just going to fall behind, and it's just going to be Neon versus the world, right? And before I keep going to this comp, I did want to mention, you guys are going to pick comps this week. I'm going to dictate that like you need to run Breach and Brim for sure, but if you like have a Neon player, like I know Patrick, you're really good on Neon, right? Then maybe you could run Neon. But what I want you guys to consider are your team's strengths and weaknesses, and like what agents they're good on, and also like the play style, like because our comp kind of dictates our play style in a lot of ways. If you run a double Sentinel comp, it's like your defense is going to be good, but your attack's going to need to be a little different, right? It's going to need to have more lurks, right? If you run only one initiator, you kind of need to rely on whatever your one push is, right? Whereas two initiators, you can take two lanes at the same time, right? So as I talk about this, is think about what comp you want your team to run, and then at the end of class, I'm going to have you guys actually break out and start forming the comps, and then you'll come to us, the coaches, with your comp for this week, and then we'll do our best to help you through that. What's up, Patrick?
What do you think about the Yor in this one? Like, I feel like he might be good for quick rotates and also like aggressive with clone or something.
I think, like I was saying with Neon, it's a very high skill ceiling, and it's a lot easier to get value out of Raze, especially, and even Neon, than it is Yoru, because it's just a lot harder for Yoru to like overwhelm a site, and like sure you can rotate faster, but I don't know. It's just for the same reason why Yoru isn't played a lot. It's just the high skill ceiling. It's hard to combo with your teammates, right? Especially when we don't have a ton of practice, right? Like you kind of need weeks of practice to get value out of Yoru. Whereas Raze is just kind of plug in, we'll stun and we'll satchel, kind of like we saw earlier, and it's a little bit easier to run. So, like I said, you guys are going to dictate comps this week, but you kind of need to own your picks. If you're going to pick Yoru, you got to own it, right? You got to put in the work to do your best on the Yoru. And yeah, okay. Let's keep going. So like we were saying, what defenders should do is every round pick something to aggro. I'll just give you some examples. One of them here is like drop aggro. So you could have like breach, stun here, and have your duelist peek off that. And I was kind of telling this to my team earlier. I want the breach and the duelist, or any initiator, their duelist, to queue together, queue rank together, because you need to gain that team chemistry and that synergy, so that you can execute in game a lot easier and be quicker. Because on maps like Fracture, that's what it's really put to test. Because Fracture is really fast paced, right? There's gonna be a lot of rotating. There's gonna be a lot of going aggro early. There's going to be a lot of, like, Raze and Breach will just kind of run together and completely try to flank the other enemy team, and then they see someone here, they need to flash and peek, right? And it's just, you guys need to be on the same page. So definitely want you guys to do that. But yeah, so that's one example. You go here. You could also, in A, we all know this Breach stun is really good, and you want your duelist to call the stun, like, stun me, stun a main, then Breach is like stunning 3, 2, 1, pop, and then we peek off that. Another good one is in main, like this. Stun main, peek off it, right? That's really good. And you usually want to combo this with the smoke, so you can isolate anyone who's out in the open here. And then Arcade is also a great one. You can have Breach jump down and stun, and then raise Satchel in, like we saw in the clip. Okay, let's watch another clip here. This one's recently for Cloud9
At least
versus
some of their
NRG
Sentinel utility, but
last
again,
week.
Cloud9 towards B.
This is another example of a arcade aggro. And notice the Sentinel, how they're set up on the other side of the map. They're setting up to delay, basically. They're setting up because, like, if the enemy team goes A, we want to delay so we give our aggro defenders enough time to keep flanking and support us, right? Or to maybe go in the other direction and flank this way, or to just rotate normally, right? So if you're on the aggro side, you just kind of want to go in, get the first kill, and then get out, or get a couple kills and get out. If you're on the other side, say this is kind of the weak side, then you're just playing for delay, basically.
You mentioned the ults they have with them. Early smoke, flash, traded, jarred out, not tagging. They're tucking inside of it, but they understand that's where the threat's coming from. That satchel was so good, but Zeppa still falls. Now popping the ult, has to be aggressive, has to take the fight, finds one, but him ultimately does fall anyway. They're investing the ult too. I mean, perhaps a bit overkill, but
Okay, so one other thing I wanted to mention is a lot of times teams will do pinches. So we'll do, like, say this is, like, we call it this the north side of the map. We'll go aggro up here, but we'll have our other defenders kind of going this way, right? So while these players are getting pressured over here and they're stunned and they're flashed, that's an opening for us to pinch, right? So pinches are really good. And then really you just want to do some kind of aggro push, but you can also throw in pinches, basically. Okay, does anyone have any questions so far?
So like if we just pinch on the other side, we just like fully retake the side.
So it kind of depends on how you want to play it. Like, Fracture is a map we're kind of being, the coaches are going to be a little more loose about, like, one, the comp, and two, your play style, because there's a lot of ways to play Fracture. You just kind of have to be on the same page. So if you want to play, like, more passive here, right, where we're delaying and playing more for retake, like this, like, you could even double up drop and just give them all this and just play it for info, right? This is kind of how they had it set up. And, like, say, maybe we get a kill here and the other team decides to go through A, then we'll have all this space. We can maybe zip across, right? And then retake this way, right? But they're just delaying so that these three can rotate in time, basically, or get a good flank. So you could either play this way or you could play as a pinch. And then you could also flip this entirely, right? You could absolutely flip this where you have, like, set up like this where you're giving up drop and then like you're going aggro here, right? Or maybe you're still up here. It really it doesn't matter much as long as everyone's on the same page. Like, where are we aggroing and how are we playing on the other side? That's really the question you want to answer, right? Okay.
Wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why Brimstone? 'Cause like I don't think the map has that many like tight corners that you can alter Molly.
Oh, Brimstone is the best because he counters the KJ ult here with his ult, right? A lot of times it's an arms race for ult points between KJ and Brimstone because this KJ ult, when I get into attack, I'll tell you about this. This KJ ult is super common, and you just go under, like you get under for free on attack basically. And Brim ult is one of the only abilities that can break that. I'm pretty sure the breach clear doesn't really clear it anymore.
This
Teho,
Does Teo hit that or no?
I'm not totally sure, but well, actually, I'm not sure because it's under the map, right? So we might have to do
Yeah.
some testing on that because that's a new.
It does if you put 2 of the things.
But does it
Yeah,
break it if
but-
it's underground though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's good. Then you probably want to run Teho for sure. He was kind of the initiator, but Brim's used for that, and then Brim. It's kind of the same reason he's good on bind. Like you only really need 2 smokes for each push, and then you kind of have that third smoke to re-smoke, and the smokes last a really long time, and they're big too, so they kind of block out all the areas you need to, right? And this map is less default heavy and more like rushing. So
the past smokes.
yeah, and it's really like the ult is good for things like this. Like if you want to do a tower play, it can ult all of site. It can ult all of A site here. The combat stim is good for rushes because you can go quicker. The molly is good to delay pushes. Like you can molly here,
You can even play for
molly
lineups
here, molly
with
here.
Brim.
Yeah, you can play for lineups. Brim's really good. Like it's way better than Omen, for example, right? Like I know Cloud9 I think was running Clove, but that was kind of weird.
Just because Zeppa's the goat though.
Yeah, right. They were running doubles. They were still running Brim though, right? So it's like, this comp right here is what I suggest. Now you don't have to run this, but this is what I suggest because like if you look, every single one of these agents has good post plant utility or good delay utility in like a post plant. They have a lot of good aggro potential, right? Like these 4 have insane aggro potential. Like if you want to do a defense aggro or if you want on attack, you want to do a rush. And then Killjoy is super good because, like we said, the turret, like we said, the ultimate is really good, right? The mollies are good for delay. It's going to be better than Cypher in like every situation, I think, except for like a info standpoint. But yeah, and Tejo's going to be really good because if he can break that cage ult, that's awesome. But he can also do like he can completely block out like tower, for example. Because tower is always really hard to hold. So yeah, and then he also has the drone. Typically, you would run like a fade in here, but Tejo's just gonna be better because he has the drone and he has the mollies. So he's pretty good in like fast pace play styles. Okay, let's watch another round from Cloud9 versus NRG.
Said it publicly in the offseason, this is likely his last year. Now he has the team that he wanted to put together to make a championship run, and that has to start today.
Yeah, but it almost just feels like it's too soon. Why not continue this on for more, surely?
So you can kind of see here, like, as we go in and we talk about attack here, right? This is usually how attack is played. You have 4 people aggroing somewhere, right, on attack. They're in a group. And then what's this lone person doing? What's their job?
Hold map control.
Yes. And
Like tell you if they start pushing somewhere.
Get info, yeah, of enemy aggression.
yeah, because the same reason that I was saying like, oh, on defense you guys need to aggro. Well, we can come to expect that a lot of teams are going to do that on their defense, right? So we need to, if we have 5 people in just one space like this, what's going to happen is the other team might push up and get all this free info and figure out pretty quick that we're all in one spot, right? So what you can do is kind of use these ropes and the Sentinel to get info on defender aggression. So that's basically what their job is. Like, they're literally just getting info. Like, if you're playing Sentinel this week, it might be a little boring at times on attack because, you know, you're just kind of waiting for them to push. And if they push you, you take the zip and escape, right? But that's how it's played. If you see it, that's how it's played. That's how I played it when I played on Fracture. You just kind of have, like, these 4 take space or, like, take site. Or you even have, like, 2 people try to take dish, and then 2 people try to take arcade, kind of slower. This person's for info. We get an opening, and then we rotate, and we go into that opening, right? So let's kind of watch be this clip. Let's keep watching this clip. But that's kind of what they did here. And notice how the defenders, they're doing an aggro here as well.
Put together to make a championship run, and that has to start today.
Yeah. But it almost just feels like it's too soon. Why not continue this on for more, surely?
So much towards B already, and keep a close eye on the minimap. There's a flank coming in from the northern side. Meanwhile, Zappa getting bested by Sam. That kill looked secure. It looked done. But it does.
Okay, so kind of what we saw there. You know, we have the attacker set up 4 in arcade, 1 just playing for info, and then 3 of the defenders are pushing up, and then you kind of see these guys here are kind of playing for delay. They're trying to delay so that these people can get a flank on
The championship run,
on
and
the
that has to
attackers.
start ready, and keep a close eye on the minimap. There's a flank coming in from the northern side. Meanwhile, Zappa getting bested by Sam. That kill looked secure. It looked done. But it doesn't go his way. Cloud9 still finding a little bit of space, though. 3 remaining on the defense, and one of them with a dink already.
Once abreast.
A lot of info gathered. A great nade from Oxy, getting 3 into the round.
That kid's already shooting. Ethan at
Okay, what else we notice from this post plant?
We play together, and like we're just aware of flying and of every possibility.
Yes, and we didn't just stay here. We didn't stay on site and just wait for them to come into us. Like, we had another plan, right? So, the same reason, like I was saying, you know, when you're on defense, you don't want to just hold site and just wait for them to come because they're just going to collapse onto you. It's the same case when you take a site and you plant. If you just sit in tower, like this. You have like 2 in tower, and then you have like 2 here on default, right? Then you're just going to get rolled over. They're going to util bomb you. They're going to use a breach clear, right? Like, they're going to breach clear all of heaven, right? Or they're going to use their Tejo mollies, because I think Tejo's going to get a lot of use in your guys' games. You know, you're going to get pushed out of these spots, right? So what Cloud9 do is they force the issue here, right? They get on site, they plant,
kill looked secure.
and then once they plant, they figure, oh, I think, we get info, they're arcade, right? So now we go to fight arcade. We don't just sit there and let them push us. You know, we push together, and we fight. Like, you see how Raze gets the kills, but it's Raze and Brim shoulder to shoulder pushing out together. It's none of this one person going out and being a hero. Like, we are right next to each other pushing, right? And the guy who's alone, he's playing more passive, just kind of for chip damage, trying to survive. Mitch does a great job of this. So, yeah. Okay, so let's talk about post plants for some more. Like I said, we don't want to be